Chapter 12. Michael and the Elohim. General Michael peered out the massive arched window facing the trail to his secluded ranch. His quarters were toward the southernmost part of the grounds, past the stables, barracks, and training pavilions. General Michael's large, callous hands pressed against the thin crystal surface. Leaving telltale smudges of his presence for the cleaning crew to erase once again. He should be here any point now. The beloved said so. The general paced about the room, touching his prized possessions absently, examining them more out of habit than another conflict, another rebellion to crush. Maybe not. Yes, the great law had been compromised, certainly that was a given, but the consequences of the breach, well, that was not always so clear-cut, especially with the beloved presiding over the High Council now. He saw things different. The general's hand hovered over a small but deceptively heavy trophy, a special gift from the ancient for service in the Great War. It was unmatched in beauty as far as its construction, but its uniqueness did not lie in its appearance. It was engraved with one simple word: compassion. One touch of that object could communicate an eon of experience, even experiences one did not want to remember. The general hesitated, then reached out and touched it. The four walls of his office disappeared before his eyes, even though in actuality nothing had changed. Nothing but the general's point of view moved across that vast. This special gift from the ancient was given to him because of his function as the highest ranking officer of the host, second in command only to the beloved. The Ancient of Days had given him this gift called empathy, granting him the extraordinary ability to feel what it is like to be another. Its knowledge had often stayed his hand when he would have crushed his opponent. Now his thoughts beheld Captain Simjaza, seeing. Then came knowing, as hard and solid as the object in his hands. "Excuse me, General," called a voice. The sharp tap on his door broke his concentration. Captain Simjaza. His eyes burned like fire, then cooled. "Enter," replied General Michael as he released the trophy and walked over to his desk. "Lieutenant Onami is here, General." "Thank you. Send him in." The great general watched Onami enter the office. From the glow of his aura, Michael could tell he was excited, intimidated, confident, and hesitant all at once, still full of the first flames of creation. Just as we were. Such promise. Michael came from behind his desk to greet his guest, extending a hand to him. Onami, please, no. Need for formalities, friend, said the general. Onami, please, no. Need for formalities, friend, said the general as he waved the lieutenant towards the seat next to him. Now, said the general as he sat down in his chair, I believe you have something to tell me about Captain Simjaza. Yes, replied Onami. How did you know? Never mind that now. You'll know soon. Not a ripple stirred in the crystal sea. Its fathomless depths shone like a vast emerald mirror as it reflected the aura emanating from the great throne. On it, the beloved sat shrouded in jasper, as transparent and brilliant as the mount of the Ancient One. His arm, Sardinia, as red as rubies. The elders sat surrounding him, waiting. Finally, one stood and spoke. My lord, said the elder as he rose and bowed. What shall be done regarding Simjaza and his men? It is obvious confirmation has come. Yes, you see it is as I spoke, but all has not been accomplished. What do you speak of, my lord? I mean the outcome is not sure. Possibilities remain. So, for now we will watch and wait. But my lord, what of their conduct? It is reprehensible. Even the slightest of our ways is reprehensible to the Ancient One, yet appeals to the greater law. For now the highest law protects Simjaza and his men. No action shall be taken against them while possibilities remain, yet an account must be kept. Indeed, my lord, I will send word to General Michael. Indeed, my lord, I will send word to General Michael. Onami walked slowly down the country path away from the main ranch house where he'd met with General Michael. He passed by a group of privates taking the stallions out for their scheduled exercises. On any other occasion, he had the opportunity to ride with joy. Today, he ignored them. The serenity of the rolling meadow and the bubbling brook surrounding him provided little comfort for the troublesome thoughts tossing wildly in his head. Samjaza has fallen, yet we do nothing. It is not reasonable. What of the men under his influence? How many are there? Why don't we do something? It's just not reasonable. Onami walked faster, kicking a few loose pebbles off the path onto the grassy grounds to his left and right. He could see the main entrance just ahead. He was sure his return gate would still be there. I wonder what Delmar and Azam will think of the news. Of course we'll do nothing since that's what the beloved wants. Still, I hope he changes his mind soon. The moon stood full and still as its soft light pierced the darkness of sun sleep and gathered below. Clan after clan packed into the crowded flat plains of the Seti of Adama. Reds, golds, and the greens took prominent places near the center of the wide arc surrounding the stone platform. Hundreds of men had toiled for many years to erect the solemn structure used for the sacrifice. Some elders, when men began to call upon the name of the Ancient One, until its completion. Enoch didn't know for sure. It was finished before the time of his birth, and before him, no man bothered to record anything. Enoch shifted uncomfortably in the stiff garments Adna insisted he wear this eve, and tugged at the bright banner on his chest. They were beautiful. He'd never seen finer covering on anyone. Adna had been working on the colorful robe ever since the death of great Father Adam. It contained the colors of every clan, a symbol of the unity he'd hoped he could restore among the families. Enoch yanked the banner lying across his chest with both his hands, testing its strength. Fine work. Fine work. If we were joined as tightly, nothing could harm us. Enoch looked over at Adna, who sat proudly to his right, and smiled. Adna beamed, emphatically joyful this sun's eve. Her hard work had not been in vain. Praise the light, I am the bearer of the seed, just like she said I would be. The drums began, telling the story again. Enoch tapped impatiently on his thigh as he thought about what would happen next. Soon the firstborns would be called to the platform, one by one, to present the sacrifice for their clan. Then, after all had gone before him, Great Mother Eve would call to the platform to say the prayer of atonement for all the sons and daughters. Enoch looked around him. He could see the anticipation, the expectancy, and the hope on the people's faces. Would the Ancient show himself this time? Would they hear his voice? Enoch wondered that too, and something more. Would the fallen come? Enoch drummed his fingertips lightly on his thigh again, keeping time with the incessant rhythm of the drums as his eyes searched the crowd. Enoch! Enoch! What? Oh, towards her. Are you well? She asked as she looked quickly over her shoulder and then back again towards Enoch. I do have Auru, she said as she reached for the small pouch tied to her waist. If you feel unwell. No, nothing like that. I'm fine, really. Just a touch of nerves is all. Really, everything is fine, wife. Enoch gave her a quick hug and smiled reassuringly. Adna smiled and sighed with relief as she turned to watch the talebearers take their places on the platform. Enoch shifted on the hard wooden bench. Glancing over his shoulder again, he felt a chill in spite of the warmth of the dark night. Lay on his arms vigorously, as if he could brush the nagging feeling in the pit of his stomach away with emotion. Enoch leaned forward in his seat, rested his elbows on his knees, and cupped his chin in his hands. He closed his eyes, praying. May the Ancient be with us. Dry heat spread through his limbs slowly. Energy surged through him. He knew this, but never had it happen so quickly. He felt the connection with the one mind almost before he finished the thought. He didn't have time to figure out why. He relished the oneness, the completion, and the knowledge. Gone was the nervousness, the anxious thoughts, the foreboding. Now there. Why? He relished the oneness, the completion, and the knowledge. Gone was the nervousness, the anxious thoughts, the foreboding. Now there was just peace and abundance of it, and 3 words. Watch, listen, speak. The words resounded with weight and force. Words clearly. Enoch waited. He waited for the heat to subside, the energy to dissipate, but it didn't. It held him like a firm hand, quiet and still. Elia ketuselia meso, Elia asa metobise. Great Mother Eve's voice lifted above the pounding drums and the hum of the... She used the formal tongue of Adam, for all knew it, and everyone, every man, every woman, and every child, hers, the flesh of her flesh, hushed and listened. May the Creator, the hidden Father of Adam, see us and favor us. Let every firstborn come now with the sacrifice for his clan. Great Mother Eve stepped back from the center of the platform and sat on one of the benches in the rear to watch the processional begin. A group of young men wearing white banners across their garments came first. Normally, Enoch would be among this group as he was among the youngest generation of offspring. However, as the new bearer, he would atonement for the people. He watched the young men bringing the first fruits of the field and the best of the animals forward. He saw Tubal-cain coming, bringing bundles and baskets full of corn, grain, and beans with him. Enoch smiled. Praise the light. Tubal-cain has accepted the will of the Ancient One after all. Enoch had thought Tubal-cain might not show himself at the ceremony. Now he was relieved his fears had been unfounded. Enoch relaxed a little and straightened himself in his seat. He tapped his fingers lightly on his thighs as he waited. Great Mother Eve would call him next. Enoch frowned. His fingers stopped their habitual movement in mid-tap. Enoch frowned. His fingers stopped their habitual movement in mid-tap. What is Tubal-cain doing? Instead of having his men place the offering on the altar, Tubal-cain was instructing them to place the bundles at the front of the platform. Enoch opened his mouth and was about to stand in protest when the strong heat, the energy that had been with freezing him in place. Then Enoch remembered the words, watch, listen, speak. So Enoch did nothing. He watched as Tubal-cain walked up the stone steps to the top of the altar and spoke loudly. Almost instantly, several Sabasi appeared beside Enoch with spears and daggers as they looked at him expectantly, awaiting orders. Enoch raised his hand quietly and shook his head. Silently, they disappeared back into the crowd. He saw Great Mother Eve's glare from across the platform. She stood standing tall with hands on hips as she raised. Great Mother Eve pressed her hands firmly together and pursed her lips, but she nodded and took her seat. Osa Elia Mekuru Sevatu, shouted Tubal-cain loudly using the old tongue of Adam. Greetings, children of the hidden Father. You are blessed and highly favored this sun's sleep. Truth has come and the curse will be broken. As soon as those words were spoken, Simjaza and his men appeared on the stage, materializing out of nothingness, blazing bright and illuminating the night as if the sun itself had risen. They surrounded Tubal-cain with swords raised high towards the heavens. The murmurs rippling throughout the crowd at Tubal-cain's unexpected greeting stopped as the people stared in awe at the magnificent sight. But, my dear friends, some of your leaders, some members of the High Council, do not want you to know about this revelation. Some of them, the bearer of the seed, Enoch, said Tubal-cain with a sneer, would rather you chase after Alru the rest of your lives rather than be redeemed. They know full well the Ancient One has already sent the promised seed. It was revealed to the High Council, yet they chose to keep you in ignorance, so they can remain in power. What? Is this true? What is he talking about? Why haven't we heard this before? Questions flooded through the families gathered like troubled waters. Enoch could feel the heat rising within him, yet he could not move. Great Mother Eve stood again, yet he could not move. Great Mother Eve stood again, looking at him for direction. Enoch shook his head. No. This time she did not sit down. Quickly, the Medici surrounded her as she stood, glaring at Tubal-cain. Enoch shook his head again. No. Great Mother Eve sat down, his right shoulder. Adna looked at him, nudging him. Again, Enoch shook his head. No. Adna sighed and looked straight forward. She was angry. He could tell. So was he. But the words came stronger now. Watch. Listen, speak. It was not now. Hidden Father, help us. Enoch bent over in his seat again, so low, almost to the ground. Waves and waves of energy rushed through him and around him. It held him in place, yet something else was happening within him too. What it was, he could not say. This was something else, something new. This was something else, something new. A shout came from the crowd. A young man stood, his back misshapen and curved as he leaned on a staff. Where is this seed? Tell us how we may have it. Aye, cried another voice. Where is the seed? Yelled another from the center rows. Tell us now, Tubal-cain. Fathers, mothers, brothers, and sisters, dear children, behold, said Tubal-cain, as he stretched out his arms and turned around facing the Elohim. The seed is before you. Open your eyes. These are the sons of God sent to redeem us. Enoch is not the bearer of the seed. Not the bearer of the seed. They are. The people stared in stunned silence. They are men just like us, yet without sin. They know how to heal instantly. I myself was healed by these good men. When I went in search of the Auru, I was attacked by bloodthirsty wolves and good men. When I went in search of the Auru, I was attacked by bloodthirsty wolves and rebellion of the ancient. I suffered many piercing wounds until the blood of life flowed from me. I saw the final darkness coming, the everlasting sleep from which no man returns. The finality of the curse was upon me when these men, these life, the grace and virtue of the Ancient One is in them. They have been sent to give it to us. All was quiet. No one spoke. Everyone stared at the brilliant, beautiful men standing before them. Enoch could sense the thoughts of the people now. The one mind was strong upon him. Now, stronger than it had ever been, even greater than the time when he had outrun Simjaza and his men on horseback. He heard the people thinking, they have bodies like ours, but different. Their faces are like our own, yet superior in beauty. Could this be true? Tubal-cain spoke. Honored ones, listen to me. A union of our people with these holy men is possible. The children, our children of this union, would be free from the curse. These men do not get sick and die as we do. No wound can take the life essence from them. Their offspring, our offspring, Ancient One promised. What about us? Shouted an old woman who stood staring at Tubal-cain with cloudy, unseeing eyes. Yes, what about us, Tubal-cain? Asked a young man, perfect in appearance except for a large scar across his face. You do not feel the effects of the curse, but some of us suffer from it every day. My dear brother, woman, all of you, be at ease, said Tubal-cain soothingly. Open your ears and hear the truth. These men have healing power, a knowledge hidden to us. They have promised to share these truths to all who believe. But you must believe. You must believe in the power of this union enough to act. What must we do, Tubal-cain? Follow me. Leave this altar. Leave this foolishness behind. The blood of bull goats cannot save us. Burning our precious grain and oil will not atone for our sins. No sacrifice will ever be enough. It only makes our bellies ache with hunger. No sacrifice can cleanse us from the curse. Only a righteous seed can save us. You ask me what to do? I am telling you, leave this altar and follow me. Everyone who wants to be free, finally free, follow me. Enoch felt the heat, the energy surge again. It pushed him forward. Enoch rose slowly from his seat and approached the platform. The eyes who had been Enoch moved through the rows of people packed tightly on the ground, some standing, some still sitting. The throngs parted as he approached, giving him a clear path to the platform. Enoch spoke, calmly and with authority. They recognized his voice as if it were the voice of Adam. Dissenting comments and murmurs ceased as they heard the new authority. Children, said Enoch boldly, you have heard from my cousin Tubal-cain. Now hear me. Enoch moved to the front of the platform next to Tubal-cain. Although the Ancient One, our hidden Father, cannot be seen, We know his voice. We know his ways. This, said Enoch as he pointed towards Elohim, still standing on the platform, is not his way. How do you know, Enoch? Shouted one of the sons of Seth as he thrust his spear in the air. Yes, bearer, said another one from the front row. Why should we ignore the light before our eyes? Listen, pleaded Enoch. Listen, pleaded Enoch, surprised that even some of his own kinsmen could be turned against him. If the hidden Father had wanted to redeem us in this way, he could have done so long ago. Ask yourself, why now? Why would the ancient send these men now, after Adam's death? These men now, after Adam's death. Enoch waited until the murmur spreading throughout the crowd died down. Good, at least they were thinking. I'll tell you why. Our great father Adam would have recognized these men. He would have seen through the deception. You know, Father Adam and Mother Eve were tempted many to return to the garden, even though the ancient forbade it. They would not have been fooled by mere beauty and power. The fallen can also appear as men of light. Do you not remember that our great mother and father, too, once possessed a similar form? Appearances mean nothing, said Enoch as he walked back and forth on the platform. We have only heard the voice of the Ancient One after a sacrifice was made. Our hidden Father requires sacrifice, and he answers by fire. Great Mother Eve has warned us all not to be swayed by smooth speech and reasoning. It is the way of the serpent. Why should we listen to the serpent? Why should we listen to Great Mother Eve? Cried Onami from the tribe of Cain, who sat among the reds. She is to blame. She brought the curse on us. You are one to speak of curses, yelled Methuselah as he pointed vehemently towards Cain, who sat in the elevated position of the goals on the front row. Your father has cursed us all long ago. Enoch recognized his son's voice and was about to rebuke him when the young man's head rocked back. The boy yelped in pain. Someone had thrown a rock. Now a thin trickle of blood dripped down the side of Methuselah's head. A group of Methuselah's cousins immediately dashed through the packed row, separating them from Onami and his brothers. A life for his blood! Chaos broke out as some women hustled their crying children back from the commotion. Enoch felt his body burn like fire, yet he was unharmed. Enough! He cried in a thunderous voice above the mayhem. Enough! Surprised at the power of Enoch's voice, the people fell silent. Enough! Surprised at the power of Enoch's voice, the people fell silent. Enoch shook off the unfamiliar feeling. He could hear his command echo throughout the camp. The boys dropped their stones and spears, still huffing and sweating from their sudden action, but obedient for now. If you want to know the will of the Ancient One, then bring your sacrifice, said Enoch as he walked over to Tubal-cain and stood in his face. The hidden Father will speak and instruct us regarding these Elohim. The throngs of people grew still, waiting for Tubal-cain to answer. Instead, walked to the edge of the platform. By Adama's blood, our hidden Father has already spoken. His answer is before us. I, for one, will not be deceived by the foolish traditions of men any longer. I am going to use my grain and my livestock to feed my people. Tubal-cain thrust to feed my people. Tubal-cain thrust his staff high in the air. Who is with me? At first, no one spoke. Then a lone man walked quietly up to the platform. He took 2 lambs off the altar, hoisted them over his shoulders, and left. I, said another man as he ran towards the altar. I think I can find a better use for my meat. He grabbed the carcass of a bull and dragged it away, leaving a trail of blood in his path. Listen, just because a couple of our kinsmen do not... Before Enoch could finish, another man came and took his sacrifice. Then another. And Enoch, a man must do right by his family. The Ancient One knows that. Enoch stared in disbelief. That man was a member of his own tribe. Enoch wanted to yell at them. He wanted to scream. He wanted to stop them. But he did nothing. Now the presence, the fiery energy that guided him before, held him still. Enoch didn't resist. The heaping piles of grain and the best of the livestock dwindled until it was only about half the size it was before. Finally, the men taking their gifts cleared the platform, leaving only Enoch and Tubal-cain. "Well, bearer," said Tubal-cain, called out to the crowd once more, "as for the rest of you, when you decide to leave foolish things behind, then come. The Elohim, the sons of God, have made their home with the tribe of Cain. Come receive the redemption they offer. Our arms are always open to you." "Very well, sons of Adam," said Enoch. "Very well, sons of Adam," said Enoch. "Let every man follow his heart. Just remember this. Anyone leaving without partaking of the sacrifice will not be given the alru that heals." A man crooked and bent from the sickness stopped and dropped his sack of grain. A few others hesitated too. Dropped his sack of grain. A few others hesitated too. Tubal-cain swirled around and faced his cousin once more. "By Adama's blood, you will not dominate us with your precious alru. For truth, we don't even need it or you." "Hear me, brothers, and hear me well," yelled Tubal-cain over the murmuring voices of the people as the men from partaking of the healing alru. "Our new allies can heal better than any alru." "Aye, that's telling them, Tubal-cain," said a gruff voice. Enoch recognized Father Lamech's unmistakable tone and pursed his lips together as he watched Tubal-cain saunter off the platform towards Father Lamech. The great shining man, still silent, followed Tubal-cain as he led the people away. Enoch waited. He desperately wanted to stop them, to yell, to scream, anything to make the people see, but he could do nothing. Now the power that had surged through him held him still. "Maybe I have been too arrogant. I did want to defeat Tubal-cain just as badly as he wanted to defeat me." Enoch opened his mouth. Nothing came out. He saw Mother Eve glowering at him, furious. He looked away from her and scanned the crowd. Almost half of the people had gone with Tubal-cain, and now Enoch panicked. He felt a knot rise in his stomach and pound his insides. Sweat rolled down his brow, even though the heat of the day had long passed. He swallowed. He tried to ignore the grumbles he heard. "What in the ancient's name is he doing? Why, he is no bearer indeed. Look how Tubal-cain has bested him. I tell you the tribe of Cain has the better end of the rod. I tell you the tribe of Cain has the better end of the rod. Why, I only stayed out of respect for Mother Eve. If I had—" Without warning, the fear he felt was replaced with anger. Enoch felt the heat burn through his belly and fill his limbs. The knot in his stomach disappeared as quickly as it had come. Enoch opened his mouth. "Else wants to leave? They are free to follow Tubal-cain. I do not try to dominate or control anyone. I rule as Father Adam ruled. I seek the Ancient One for guidance in all things." Enoch strode over to the altar, stepping over the bloody mess, and stretched out his hand towards it. "If I am speaking the truth, may the Ancient One consume. Speaking the truth, may the Ancient One consume." Crackle! Before Enoch could get the words out, someone screamed. The people fell flat on their faces. Someone crouched back in fear as a silver streak sliced through the calm night. Boom! The entire altar was on fire. Even the blood-stained floor surrounding it burst into flames. The entire altar was on fire. Even the blood-stained floor surrounding it burst into flames. Enoch jumped back. He swirled around, looking everywhere. He saw Adna's panic-stricken eyes looking at him wildly from the first row. Fire surrounded Enoch on all sides. No, not just around him, through him as well. Enoch looked up to the heavens, and bubbling up within him was out. Yet he was unharmed. The only sound that could be heard was the cackle and sizzle of the flesh and grain burning. Now all of the people were prostrate. A thin voice from his right side made the first sound. "May the Ancient One bless Enoch, ruler of Adam's realm." It was Mother Eve. She said it once more, louder this time. A few others joined her. Then all the people began to chant, "May the Ancient One bless Enoch, rulers of Adam's realm." Their voices rang louder and louder until the cry of the people roared in his ears. Crouched in the midst of the flames. "Lieutenant Delmar," called Azam. Delmar cringed at his superior officer's tone. He turned and watched Azam come towards him from his position on the cliff face just a few lengths behind the altar. "Captain Azam, I didn't do it." Azam's hands went absently towards a weapon hidden under his cloak. "No, really, Captain, I didn't do it. I swear on the name of the Beloved, I did not use the forces." "Well, then who?" Azam looked over at Enoch in surprise. Did he? Yes, Captain Azam, I believe he did. But how? This is impossible. The humans cannot summon the forces.